So let's talk about a book that's been called a masterpiece and a menace. Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. This thing is basically a playbook for influence, and it does not pull any punches. It draws its lessons from some of the most ruthless moments in human history. Let's see what we can dig up. And right out of the gate, we get this chilling quote from Machiavelli, the OG of power dynamics. This sets the tone, right? This isn't about being nice. It's about understanding the brutal, cold realities of influence. The stakes are about as high as they can get. So that really leads to the big question you have to ask yourself. Are these laws just a recipe for becoming a tyrant? Or are they a necessary shield in a world that's already playing by these rules anyway? You see, what Greene argues is that this game is happening all around you, whether you want to play or not. The only real choice you have is whether you're going to understand the rules. Okay, so where do we even begin? Well, we have to start with a fundamental truth of power. What you do often matters a whole lot less than how people see what you do. To really get this, we've got to go back to the ancient Chinese court of Wei and meet a guy named Mi Zhuxia. So, Nizza Shah, he's at the absolute top of his game. He's the ruler's favorite, no question. One day, his mother gets sick, and he makes a really risky move. He takes the ruler's personal coach to go see her, an act that was literally punishable by law. But the ruler, seeing his favorite's devotion, doesn't punish him. He praises him, calls him a hero. But here's the thing, favor doesn't last forever. Years go by, and Mi Zhuxia falls from grace. And that same act of devotion, suddenly it's reframed as an act of treason. The facts hadn't changed at all. But the story about the facts had completely changed, and with it, his fate. And this is the whole point, right? The lesson is crystal clear. Your reputation is the lens that every single one of your actions gets judged through. It can turn a crime into a virtue, and a virtue right back into a crime. It isn't just important, it's everything. All right, so if perception is everything, how do you control it? Well, paradoxically, one of the best ways to do it is to just disappear. I know, that sounds totally counterintuitive, right? But making yourself scarce can be an absolute masterstroke of power. Think about it like this. The more you're around, the more common you become, the less valuable you seem. It's literally supply and demand, but for people. By making yourself scarce, you create this vacuum that people become desperate to fill. Your absence actually becomes a source of power and fascination. Napoleon, who was a total showman when it came to power, he knew this instinctively. He understood that an emperor who is seen too often, well, he stops being an emperor. He just becomes some guy. So he made his public appearances rare, turning every single one into a huge spectacle that just amplified his legend. But this isn't just about hiding out. No, it's a strategy. Think of it like a 3-act play. First, you have to be seen. You have to be essential. Then you vanish, leaving this hole that everyone feels. And finally, when you return, it's not just a comeback. It's like a resurrection. You're not just present anymore, you're a legend. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. We're moving from the subtle to the, well, surgical. When you're facing a group of people who are against you, it's tempting to try and fight everyone at once. But Greene's advice here is pretty ruthless. Don't fight the crowd. Find the source. This brings us to Law 42. And man, it's as cold as it is effective. The idea is simple. Every flock has a shepherd. A single, strong individual who guides the rest. Take out the shepherd and the sheep, they'll just scatter. For a perfect example of this, let's look at Pope Boniface's struggle with the city of Florence way back in the 1300s. The city was a huge thorn in his side, and at the very heart of the resistance was one man, the poet Dante Alighieri. He was the voice, the spirit, the shepherd of Florence. So what the Pope did next was absolutely brilliant. No army, no messy siege. He simply invited Dante to Rome for peace talks and then just refused to let him leave. With their shepherd gone, isolated, the flock of Florence was lost. The city's resistance crumbled and it fell right into the Pope's hands. For our final law today, we're actually going to circle back to the world of appearances, but we're adding a new weapon to the arsenal, unpredictability. Because if people can't guess your next move, they have no way to defend against it. And Picasso just nails it here. Predictability is a weakness. It makes other people feel like they have a sense of control over you. But if you're a storm, a force of nature that can't be anticipated, you command a whole different kind of respect. It's one that's born out of awe and maybe a little bit of fear. And Picasso didn't just talk about this, he lived it. Every single time the world thought they had him figured out, he would just shatter their expectations with something new, something jarring, something they didn't see coming. It wasn't really about the art itself, it was about power. He was writing his own story, and he made sure nobody else was allowed to hold the pen. So, after this quick journey into the shadows of human nature, what's the takeaway? Are these laws a toolkit you can use to build a better world, or are they just a weapon for controlling it? The uncomfortable truth is, they're probably both, and that's a reality we all have to grapple with.